Hi guys, James at RampantLionReviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to return to München in Bayern, of course Munich in Bavaria as you would say in English, but we've got one of the famous Munich breweries and a famous example of the German Doppelbock style. So for this review we are going to return to Spatenbräu München and we're having a taste of the Optimator Doppelbock, which comes in at 7.6%. If you've watched my German reviews before, you will know that I'm a huge fan of this Doppelbock style. I love the Eyinger Celebrator and also like the Paulaner Salvator as well. But I have heard with this one, I've heard some rumours that apparently you can't find the Optimator in Germany. So if those of you watching in Germany could let me know about that, I would love to hear, because for me it really is very strange to hear that one of the famous examples of the Doppelbock style isn't actually available in Germany. And I bought this beer in Japan. I just saw it and I knew the name as soon as I saw it, so I wanted to try this beer. But please let me know if that's true, that you can't find this beer in Germany. I think that's a terrible shame if that's true, so please let me know about that one. But anyway, as is usual with my beer reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery. If you do want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other Spaten reviews I've done before. There's all the usual social media. If you want to see more beer reviews, do subscribe to the channel. The whole channel uses a geography based tagging system, so if you're interested in beer from a certain country, state or city, whatever, you can go into the channel homepage and search for it. And as always, please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review, especially those of you watching in Germany, because I absolutely love German beer, and that's just since I spent all this time in Heidelberg writing my chemistry thesis. But anyway, to tell you a little bit about Spatenbräu. So the history of Spatenbräu goes back to the year 1337, when it was first mentioned on the tax book of Hans Wesler for his property in the Neuhausergasse. But over the next 125 years, the owners of the brewery changed many times, and actually in 1522 the 100-year ownership of the Starnberg family began. The brewery was then owned by the Spaten family, who of course gave it the final name today of Spatenbräu, and this was from 1622 until 1704, and then the Meyer family took over until 1807. So in 1807 the brewery was acquired by Gabriel Sedelmeier, and at this point it was the smallest brewery in Munich, and it has since been led by his family. So in 1817 the company purchased the Spatenkeller in Bayerstrasse, but after Gabriel's death in 1839 his son Gabriel and Josef also took over the running of the brewery, and in 1861 Josef actually purchased the Leistbrauerei. So they also built the new brewery facility on Markstrasse in the 1850s, and they moved all the production to this site. 1858 also saw the beginning of the partnership with the Franziskaner brewery, and this was after Gabriel had purchased the shares of August Dielmeier, and because of these expansions Spaten actually became the largest brewery in Munich until the end of the 19th century, by which time it had then passed on to Gabriel's sons Johann, Karl and Anton. The company logo as it is today was actually designed by Otto Hupp in the year 1884. But the brewery is also credited with introducing the Helles and Pilsner styles to Munich at the very end of the 19th century, and they also opened up a branch office in London and began their exports to America in 1909, before the brewery then passed over to the fourth generation of the Sedelmeier family in 1911, and this was Heinrich and Fritz who took over at this point. In 1922 the Franziskaner Brauerei came under the full ownership of the Sedelmeier family, and they also started a contract of interest with Löwenbräu, one of the other famous Munich breweries. But the brewery was severely damaged during the Second World War, but they began exports once again in 1950. But the brewery continued to grow strongly in the coming years, and in 1992 they surpassed the annual 1 million hectolitres mark, and 1997 saw the company celebrate their 600th anniversary, and they officially joined with Löwenbräu, and then in 2003 they joined the InBev group, who of course are one of the biggest brewing groups in the world today. So yeah, that's your kind of brief history of Spatenbräu München. 600 years of history, just over that now, and they are very, very well known. Of course, the first beer I tried from these guys was the Oktoberfest beer, which was very nice. Just to list the other beers you can get from these guys, there's the Alkoholfrei, there's the Maibock, the Münchner Dunkel, the Münchner Hell, the Optimator, the Pils, the Premium Bock, the premium lager as well. So there's quite a few different beers you can try from these guys. Of course, they are one of the classic Munich breweries, so if you get the chance, I would recommend that you try some of their beers. I really love this Doppelbock style, so I'm very glad that I'm getting to try another example of this one. You know, you've got things like the Weihenstephaner Corbinian, you have the Ayinger Celebrator, and then you have the Paulaner Salvator. There are a few other ones there that are very famous as well, but this is one of the kind of top class when it comes to this Doppelbock style of beer. So I'll just let you have a little look at the artwork of this one before we open it up. Very much looking forward to trying this beer though. There you can see the nice Optimator artwork. This, of course, the double shovel, or the shovel and spade I guess you would say actually, is the Spaten symbol, and this has been around since Otto Hüpp designed it back in 1884. You can see that's also on the bottle cap of this beer too. This one is an imported version. As I mentioned to you, I bought this one in the supermarket in Japan. It comes in at 7.6%, although on the import sticker it actually tells you a lie. It says it's 7% alcohol, so the Japanese are lying to their consumer base, so they maybe need to fix that. But as I say, this is a very famous example of the Munich Doppelbock style, so I feel very privileged that I can actually try this one for you. And please do let me know, those of you watching in Germany, whether it's true that you can't find this beer outside of Munich, or of Germany of course. So yeah, as you can see, and a little bit of a smoky opening there, and we'll get this guy out and into the glass. The thing that surprised me about this as well was that it has a green bottle rather than a brown bottle. The Germans are usually very kind of picky when it comes to their beers, I guess you could say. They're all about conditioning, drinking it out of the right glass and things like that. So I was very surprised that it was in a green bottle rather than a brown bottle. Brown, of course, does help aid the beer in protection from the light. So for me, this beer is coming across a nice kind of almost ebony rosewood colour actually. It does have a significant ruby edge to it though. You can see there's a solid finger of a kind of creamy but a little bit beigey coloured head on this one. It looks very nice. I'll just put the light over it and let you see the colour. You can see there is a nice kind of ruby tint to this beer, which is typical when you're talking about a German style Doppelbock, or a Munich Doppelbock I guess I should say. In this case, there's some big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass, but quite a few little ones just going up towards the bottom of that head there, and you can really smell some of the nice kind of sweet treacle caramel notes coming off this beer just as you're moving it about. There's a good little bit of red fruit there as well, but let's have a closer look at the aroma of this one. So yeah, you know, it smells absolutely typical of what you'd expect of a Doppelbock. When it's got this kind of heritage, that's exactly what you'd expect. So you've got a nice dark, almost treacly sort of a molasses I guess you would say in America, but you've got this nice dark treacly kind of caramel thing going on. It's very, very toasted, and you've got this almost German rye bread character coming out of this one. That's one thing I really loved when I was in Heidelberg, was that the German bread is just incredible. German cakes and German bread, the bakeries are just such a high standard over there. And when I smell a Doppelbock, it always reminds me of some of the lovely rye bread that you can get there. So there is this almost German rye bread character coming out of this beer. A little bit of a woody, kind of nutty character going on, but mainly a sort of toasted, really dark, almost treacly molasses character coming out of the aroma of this beer. You can smell a little bit of the German noble hop in there as well, of course the Tittnanger, the Hallertau sort of thing. You can smell a little bit of the earthiness and a little bit of the kind of grassy, almost floral character coming out of this one. But the nose is dominated by that big, treacly molasses character, quite toasted as well. And that German rye bread, it really is lovely. These Doppelbocks are very, very unique, so if you haven't tried any of the famous German ones, then do have a go at them. There's a good bit of red fruity character coming off as well. It's almost figgy, but it's a kind of like candied red fruit ester. It always reminds me of the little heart-shaped sweets that you get in the Haribo Star Mix. Just a kind of candied red fruit ester, but figs, maybe a little bit of raisin or plum in there as well, but really it's more of a kind of figgy note that you get off this beer. But it smells very, very nice. Just take a little bit of time and enjoy the aroma that you're going to get from this beer. Famous example of the German Doppelbock style, as I said, so Yeah, just enjoy it and savour it, because I think this beer is a little bit hard to find. So let's get stuck into this one then. So this one is the Optimator Doppelbock, 7.6% from Spatenbräu in Munich. One of the very kind of famous examples of the style. Prost. Yeah. This one is, I remember some of the other ones I've tried, and it amazes me with these beers just how different they can be within the style. You get different kind of punchiness to the flavour. This one for me, it tastes a little bit darker than some of the other ones, and that works for it very well. But as always, when it comes to these darker beer styles, sugar it around your mouth a little bit and just let the whole palate adjust before you examine the flavour too much. But this is really good. I mean, in the middle of the palate you can feel that nice German rye bread malt base. That's just propping up the whole beer. And then on top of that you can get some of these kind of nice toasty treacle molasses kind of caramel things there. That just is what is underpinning this whole beer, and it's absolutely lovely. And it's one thing I've noticed with German beers actually, when it comes to the more modern American style beers, they're very good at covering up their alcohol warmth, but when it comes to the German Doppelbocks, you can really feel the thickness and that caramel character just masking the booziness in this. It's the same with the Belgian beers with that kind of yeastiness. You can really feel the alcohol warmth in their beers, and that's something I think the Germans and Belgians really do enjoy when it comes to actually tasting their beers, and it works very well. You know, if it's an old thing when it comes to beer, and especially with these Doppelbocks, it works very, very nicely. But this is lovely. So yeah, that German kind of rye bread malt base in there. On top of that, you've got this nice kind of roasted caramel flavour. It's almost got the darker treacle molasses flavour to it. It's absolutely lovely. But again, you can see, I absolutely love this style, and you can see why these Doppelbocks became very, very famous, because they've got a hell of a lot of depth and flavour to them. They're really, really good. Within that kind of malt base in the middle of the beer, you've got a kind of woody or nutty character coming out of it as well. This one for me though really leans towards the toasted kind of caramel molassy sort of flavours. This is where this one really leans. And to be fair, that is typical of the style. But even within this Doppelbock style, you can get different flavours of caramel and things like that. This one to me tastes a little bit darker than the Optimator, rather than the Celebrator or the Salvatore actually. But very, very good beer. I certainly wouldn't hesitate to drink this again. This is a style that I really enjoy, and it's cool to try the different ones from all the famous Munich breweries, of course. But around the edge of the tongue, you can pick up that noble hop character. There's a tiny little bit of earthiness in the back corners of the palate, and as you come further forward, you get just a little bit of that floral character, and around the front curve of the tongue you can pick up a little bit of the grassiness, but it's very smooth and very mild in comparison to other styles of Munich beer that you're going to find. And if you go just behind that front curve of the tongue there, that's where you're going to find the little oily bubble that gives you these lovely red fruity esters. For me, this one is quite figgy actually. I always talk about that a lot of them taste like kind of candied red fruit, but for me this one really does have more of a figgy character on the fruity side of things. But that said, it does have a little bit more of a sharpness which you would associate with plums or raisins. The fruity character in this one is quite different from the others I've had in the Doppelbock style. Yeah, I would stick with that. That's what makes this beer stick out from the other Doppelbocks for me. The caramel character is a little bit darker and a little bit more roasted, and the fruitiness is just a little bit sharper with some of those more kind of plummy or raisiny notes out of this. But it's very, very nice. I mean, when it comes to Spatenbräu, they're a very famous brewery. They've got a reputation for a reason. And this beer, in my opinion, it certainly doesn't disappoint. Very, very good. I really love these German Doppelbock beers, so it's cool to review one that is quite hard to find actually. But yeah, if you enjoy this style, you certainly will enjoy this one. If you like a nice dark caramel molasses flavour, you're going to enjoy this. If you like roasted caramel, you'll enjoy it as well. And if you enjoy just a little bit of the kind of sharpness from the red fruity esters, then this is definitely a Doppelbock that you are going to enjoy. In terms of the mouthfeel, I'd say this one is probably pushing the full-bodied category actually. It's a very oily mouthfeel, but that's typical of the style, of course. Carbonation is quite smooth, although it does have a little bit of a prickle, and that helps bring out some of the kind of slightly grassy and floral characters that you expect of the noble hop. And in this one, I would say that these are maybe a little bit more noticeable than they are in other examples of the style as well. But it's a very, very good beer. It really leans towards the malty side of things, as you would expect. A very, very sweet and kind of roasted character from this one in there. The fruity juiciness is there, and the hops just have a little bit of dryness. As you progress into the aftertaste, you can feel a little bit of that slightly earthy, floral and grassiness just lingering there. That noble hop character is definitely present in this one, but you've got a nice bit of fruity juiciness, and of course it's a big toasted malt base, which is exactly what you'd expect from this style. But yeah, absolutely awesome beer this. If you get the chance to try the Optimator from Spatenbräu München, I really would recommend that you do. A very famous example of the German Doppelbock styles, and hopefully I can review some of the other famous examples over the next little while. But yeah, I feel very privileged to have tried this one, especially if it's a little bit harder to find than the other ones. But thank you for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Do let me know your own thoughts on the Spaten Optimator in the comments section below. Let me know your favourite beers from Spatenbräu München as well. Always interesting to hear from you guys that are watching the videos, and please do give me some other German beer examples that I should have a look at. Actually, I love reviewing German beer, so it would be great to hear your recommendations and review those for you on the channel. But until the next time, slange just now, and I will catch you very soon. If you haven't tried this guy, the Spatenbräu München Optimator Doppelbock, a very interesting example of this famous beer style from Munich, give it a go and see what you think for yourself, and let me know in the comment section below. Until the next time, slange just now, and I will catch you very soon. This has been an awesome beer to review, and I feel pretty privileged that I've been able to do it for you. Prost.